Mr. Lok, Senior Counsel, members of the Bar, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the judiciary, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this morning's ceremony. There are a number of guests I would especially like to mention. First, I'm delighted that Mrs. David Marshall is with us today. Jean Marshall's husband was one of Singapore's greatest advocates ever. He left an indelible mark on the profession and was a historical figure in his own right. I'm also delighted to welcome Professor Tan Suk Yi, the former Dean of the Faculty of Law of the National University of Singapore and widow of Mr. Tan Boon Teck. Boon Teck was the longest-serving Attorney General of independent Singapore, having held that office for 25 years at a critical time in our history. Boon Teck passed away last year. His many achievements and contributions have been noted in a number of tributes. I'm also grateful to the Chief Registrar of the Supreme Court of Brunei, Pengiran Haja Rostaina binti Pengiran Haja Duraman, and our guests from Malaysia, Brunei, and Hong Kong, representing their respective professional associations, for taking the trouble to travel here for this morning's proceedings. We also have in our midst other guests from Singapore and abroad, including in particular the Honourable James Spiegelman, who retired in 2011 as the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of New South Wales. It is my pleasure to welcome you all. Mr. Attorney and Mr. Lok, thank you for your extremely kind and generous words. I do not in the least pretend that they are deserved. It is, of course, an immense privilege to be entrusted with the responsibility of leading the judiciary and, by extension, the legal community. And I'm assured by and grateful for the pledges of support and commitment you have each extended. In the weeks following the announcement at the end of August last year that I would succeed Chief Justice Chan Sek Keong, I also had the opportunity to meet many stakeholders, and I very much appreciate the time each of them took and the many ideas that they offered me. The challenge now is to make something worthwhile out of all this goodwill. In the final analysis, perhaps more stock should be placed on what is said at the end of one's tenure than at the beginning. Mr. Attorney, you succeeded me as the Attorney General on 25th of June 2012. The range of issues faced by the Attorney General, the quality and dedication of the officers serving in the legal service, and the opportunity to make a positive difference all combined to make it a truly unique calling. You bring the experience of more than 25 years practicing with distinction at the highest levels of the commercial bar, as well as almost 3 illustrious years on the Supreme Court bench. I know that with this wealth of experience, your sense of compassion, your warm heart, and your commitment to do the right thing, you will do your utmost for the honourable discharge of this critical office. Mr. Lok, we had not the faintest inkling when we entered law school together as students more than 30 years ago that we would one day be speaking in these circumstances. And that too in the company of a third member of our class and now the Senior Minister of State for Law and Education, Ms. Indrani Raja. You have taken over from Mr. Wong Meng Meng, Senior Counsel, in what has famously been described as the least enviable legal job in town. Notwithstanding the challenges it will undoubtedly bring, the presidency will afford you a valuable platform from which to serve our community by providing leadership on a number of issues that are of importance to the practicing profession and to our wider society. Let me offer my heartfelt congratulations to each of you and also pledge my support for the worthwhile work you will be doing. Mr. Attorney, you spoke about the momentous changes in Singapore's legal landscape. In this context, I would like to acknowledge Justice Philip Pillay, who retired from the Supreme Court last December. Justice Pillay had been the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Law during my student days and was instrumental in persuading me to go into private practice upon my graduation. We later became partners at Shuklin & Bock, and I was delighted to have had the opportunity to serve with him in the Supreme Court. I congratulate him on 4 successful decades in the law and wish him a fulfilling retirement. I have spoken previously on the retirement of Chief Justice Chan Sek Keong and the immense legacy he leaves behind. Today, I reiterate my heartfelt gratitude to him, as well as my greatest respect and affection, and I repeat my wishes that he will have a long, active, and very happy retirement. When Chief Justice Chan spoke at his welcome reference in 2006, he said that he drew confidence to face the daunting responsibilities that come with this appointment, among other things, from the motivation of any responsible public office holder to leave to his successor a legacy better than the one he has inherited. There is profound truth in this. Chief Justice Wee Chong Jin laid the foundations for an independent judiciary so essential to the establishment of the rule of law in a new nation. His successor, Chief Justice Yong Pang Hao, took the administration of justice to the next level with sweeping reforms that conquered the delays and cleared the backlog of cases that had come to bedevil the judiciary. And Chief Justice Chan led the judiciary to even greater heights with his profound contributions to our jurisprudence and his particular devotion to the ideal that justice be dispensed efficiently and also humanely. It is on the shoulders of these giants that I stand as I set out to bequeath to my eventual successor an even stronger institution. This is a supremely worthwhile quest because law is foundational to society. Far from restricting liberty, law assures it. By law, we establish order, and order is the key to liberty. In the preface to the 1915 edition of Robert's Rules of Order Revised, a work on the law applicable to meetings, the author observes, "Where there is no law, but every man does what is right in his own eyes, there is the least of real liberty." The legal profession led by the judiciary is the custodian of the sacred trust to uphold the rule of law. Its essence is the assurance that no one is above the law, that everyone is answerable to it, that corruption will not be tolerated, that every citizen should have the greatest equality of opportunity, and that the ideals of our national pledge should be pursued by each citizen exerting his personal efforts and relying on the strength of his abilities, not on his race, language, or religion. This has been the hallmark of our nation's soul throughout its independent existence. My own story authenticates this. My late father landed on these shores 60 years ago with nothing but the clothes he wore, a spare set in his bag, and a very modest amount of money. He came seeking a better future for his offspring, but it would have been beyond his wildest and most audacious dreams to imagine that his son would one day be the Chief Justice. Yet it has come to pass, and only because of our national commitment to the rule of law and equal opportunity. As a real beneficiary of this commitment, I am heavily invested in it. We have much to be grateful for as a people, and it is vital that we remain rooted to these notions which are embodied in the Constitution and encapsulated in the judicial oath of office.